Hey, this is Jordan, aka Mary Helsing, and today is actually the big day where we are actually going to be going to the March for Our Lives. And I chose to go there because I really just understand that we really need sensible gun control, and that there's way too many lives being taken, and this is one of the posters that we made, and we just want to show that enough is enough. So me and my dad right here say hi, Dad.
Enough is enough.
Yeah, enough is enough, and resist. You see that? We are so excited for that, and we can't wait to see you there. Okay, so we're on our way to do the march, and it's gonna be really exciting, and we got everything packed up and ready to go, and I'm just so excited. Are you?
Yeah, you betcha. Resist. Enough is enough. I think it's great that young people are standing up for their rights and saying it's time for reasonable gun control. This is ridiculous. Good for everybody today.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of ridiculous that there are too many kids being killed and shot just for no apparent reason. And that's why me and my dad are gonna be doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Back in the early 80s, when Ronald Reagan was the president, there was a war against the Nicaragua government that was democratically elected by the CIA, and it came out later that Ronald Reagan sold weapons to Iran to fund this private war. So Rich Berkeley and Tom Gerngross and Dan Reamer and I, we protested down in Washington, D.C., and we got up at about 5 in the morning, and we rode buses that left from NYU and Washington Square Park, drove all the way down to Washington, D.C., and we marched on the Capitol, and there was a big concert on the Mall, singers and speakers, and it was really a great experience. And you felt like you were speaking out against something that was wrong, and that you were trying to make the world a better place. And so, I share your enthusiasm today, and I think it's important that we speak up when we think that things could be done better. Think about how many police are in schools now, and are schools any safer? No. The police just wind up assaulting students.
Yeah, and
more students go to jail. That's not better, that's worse.
Exactly, and there's no common sense there.
And putting guns in schools is gonna be even more dangerous. Just look how trained police officers, they are having mistakes.
Yeah.
And guns are discharging in schools already. What a crazy idea to give guns to all the teachers.
Yeah, and that's why we have to protest, just stop this whole nonsense, you know what I mean? And that's why my dad and I, we're glad to be going. So we're both really excited, and it's gonna be awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Return to common sense. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, because common sense left the building, and it needs to come back in the building. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
sure.
We'll see you guys around.
This is the federal building right here on the corner.
This building right here.
That's
see?
where it's going to end.
Yeah.
So now we're going to try to find a good parking spot. The march begins over at the Everson Museum.
Enough is enough! Look at how massive it is.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Hey, everybody! This is what democracy looks like. Hey, oh, the NRA has got to go. The NRA has got to go. All right, so now I'm here at the March for Our Lives march, and we just basically protested the horror of gun violence, and that it should be stopped, and that we need to stop more lives from getting killed. And it's just so remarkably beautiful that there are so many people just coming together and doing something about it and just taking action. And that's what a lot of us should do. We really need to work together to build a better place for future generations and for us as well.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Books, not bullets! 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 Books,
To voice his support, he wrote this statement. I want to congratulate the students all across the state and the nation who are speaking out today. History provides moments where real change is possible, and the students marching throughout the state are seizing the moment and standing up for the safety of their classmates and students across the country. You, the students, are showing more leadership than the so-called leaders in Washington.
This is beautiful.
As these people, Eric Harris, Omar Mateen, Nicholas Cruz, they wouldn't have been able to kill as many people with a knife. It's been said before. We need to make sure gun violence is addressed and ended, both nationally and here at home. This is not a one-day event. It will not end today. It'll take time, but we can't give up. We have to open our eyes and work together, not alone, to ensure peace. We need to change our laws by pushing for our politicians to vote for stricter gun control laws with more intense background checks.
This is awesome.
I've ended up here to share with you an original spoken word poetry piece. In the words of one of my most inspiring role models, Donovan Livingston, spoken word poetry insists on participation, so make it so. Syracuse, America, this is for you. Love, among all other devices, is a pure manifestation of the human conscience. The finding and timing that stirs a feeling deep in our souls, that molds and folds our minds to a tipping point. On the verge of insanity and justification, the scales don't always balance. On the verge of love and hate, the scales don't always balance. On the verge of life and death, the scales do not balance. Violence, in the mind of aggressors, is the excuse that takes away our own selves. The gentry and centuries of our calm configuration collapse, but still, perseverance is a necessary and precautionary tool. Because for someone's sake, you must be able to gather the strength to persevere and recognize the minds of the ones we've lost, and find the time to realize that sometimes we aren't the only ones that matter. Recognize that a gun to children isn't the same when half their classmates die because of it. That horror, making the faces in the places that we used to call home, lies in the streets as the creeps to kingdom come. Our moral values fined with crimes we never committed, and yet bet on the backs of death, once committed solely by us. Us. The ones who love when push comes to shove, and yet we still approach our computer screens as a means to vent. We complain and drain for what we think is pain without truly knowing the growing fear broadcasted every year. And every year, children cry and children die when we're off babbling on Facebook. We hit the send button at times of desperation in the confines of our own imaginations, because in that moment, an argument in the comment section of a tweet is more important than the comments of the children who actually died. Pride, our brain seek competition among others, where we tend to forget the tried and true values buried in our hearts. Action, paramount on the success of violence, is the only thing binding our chains in the pain that we feel so necessary to express. So for their sake, remember when and how the conscience of a country was taken from us at the pull of a trigger. Equalize, mobilize, revolutionize, become the ones you were meant to be. Be the soul, be the young minds that make this world go round. Be the change. Thank you.
people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. So, to anybody who is watching this, thank you so much for coming, and let's make a change. So, thank you.